one of the points that we raise in the book is that obsessive compulsive disorder and jealousy have some overlapping symptoms, including the one you mentioned, which is this tendency to check and recheck. So in the case of OCD, it might be that you keep checking whether you locked your car door, 10 different times before you're satisfied, and then you move on. And similarly, in the case of jealousy, you might check and recheck whether your partner was where they said they would be, when they said they'd be there, and who were they with. And you're not really satisfied until you've gone through this loop a number of times in your mind. And there's some neuroscientific work suggesting that at the level of the brain and neurochemistry, there's potentially some overlap between these things as well. So there's some evidence that the way that serotonin works in the brain, if you have depleted levels of serotonin, this can cause this kind of obsessive tendencies, both in the case of OCD and in the case of jealousy. And so from a drug-based perspective, it's been proposed that serotonin-enhancing drugs like selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, or SSRIs, which are also used to treat depression, but they're used in the case of OCD as well, ideally in combination with cognitive behavioral therapy. So if your jealousy is like a really serious problem for the relationship, to the point where it's threatening the ability of you and your partner to have a flourishing connection together, and you want to work on it, there's all sorts of things you can try to do kind of on your own, and one of them is to just be aware of the fact that you're behaving in an obsessive way, and that you're putting your relationship at risk. And you might want to think about what the underlying issues are with trust in the relationship, and try to deal with those directly. And if it really gets out of hand and you find that you've tried other things and it doesn't work, it might very well be the sort of thing you'd want to talk about with a therapist, and they'd probably work with you with cognitive behavioral therapy. And then, in the book, we discuss a case study of a psychiatrist who went further than that, and the jealousy was so extreme in the case of this particular man that the psychiatrist combined cognitive behavioral therapy with a serotonin-affecting drug so as to try to address this problem with a 1-2 punch. And it seemed to be successful in this case study that we analyzed. But there's not a whole lot of research on treating jealousy with medication more systematically.